Welcome to the town of Mount Pleasant, located across the harbor from Charleston in the beautiful South Carolina Low Country. Settled in 1680, Mount Pleasant was integral to the founding of the Carolina colony. At that time, the Siouxsie Indians inhabited the area. The town was named for the 18th century plantation, Mount Pleasant. In 1803, the plantation was subdivided into lots to create a small village. The original plantation house, known today as the Hibbon House, still stands in the old village. By the middle of the 19th century, Mount Pleasant had become a summer resort with cottages, churches, parks, and a school. During the colonial era, some of the Low Country's prominent families such as Lynch, Toomer, Horlbeck, Legree, Pinckney, Lucas, Rutledge, and Vandross owned plantations along the Wando River. Influential American founding fathers associated with Mount Pleasant include Charles Pinckney of Snee Farm, who was the principal author and a signer of the U.S. Constitution; John Rutledge, a signer of the Constitution. Rutledge's younger brother, Edward, signed the Declaration of Independence, the youngest person to do so. Thomas Lynch, a member of the Continental Congress, and his son Thomas Lynch, Jr., who signed the Declaration of Independence on behalf of his ailing father. Mount Pleasant had small but important roles to play in the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. Battle of Sullivan's Island hero, General William Moultrie, encamped at Hadrill's Point, where he directed the construction of the famed Palmetto Fort on nearby Sullivan's Island, the site of the first Patriot naval victory. At the beginning of the Civil War, Confederate forces constructed the Palmetto Battery at the Christ Church line as part of the outer defenses of Charleston. However, this battery did not see action during the war. Also during the Civil War, the crew of the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley quartered in Mount Pleasant, and the famed 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first all-African-American regiment, mustered out here. The service of these and all-American soldiers is honored at Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, the Medal of Honor Museum aboard the USS Yorktown, and Memorial Waterfront Park. Mount Pleasant's farmers and planters raised cattle, grew indigo and cotton, and farmed vegetables. Rice did not drive the economy east of the Cooper as it did in other parts of the Low Country. In addition to agriculture, brickmaking was a prominent industry east of the Cooper. Boone Hall, established in 1681, produced many of the bricks used in Charleston's colonial and antebellum buildings. Today, the most unique surviving plantation buildings at Boone Hall are its 9 original brick slave cabins. After the Civil War, sections of former plantation lands became freedmen's communities, such as Green Hill, Scanlonville, Hamlin Beach, and 6 Mile. In the early 20th century, truck farming became the mainstay of the town and surrounding freedmen's communities. Shem Creek's seafood industry also began to expand, and by the 1940s, shrimp was the creek's principal commodity. To celebrate the importance of the seafood industry, Mount Pleasant hosts the Blessing of the Fleet and Seafood Festival each spring. In the 1930s, enterprising African-American basket makers began to make and sell sweetgrass baskets in roadside stands along U.S. Highway 17. These coiled baskets, originally made by enslaved people on plantations, are still made and sold today. To honor the contribution of basket makers to its heritage, the town built the Sweetgrass Cultural Arts Pavilion at Memorial Waterfront Park and helped sponsor the annual Sweetgrass Cultural Arts Festival each June. Today, Mount Pleasant is no longer a quiet rural town. What started with 16 families living along the Wando River during early colonial times is now home to over 67,000 residents. Mount Pleasant values its past and looks to its future as a rich and vital Low Country community. Mount Pleasant's Historical Commission thanks you for coming over to explore our town's story. Enjoy your tour.